feedback, comments from your teacher can also help you know when something is going right. All right. And that's even more important. So I'll explain, right? So recently, a student that I normally teach English, she wanted help with Spanish, and we set up our schedule and etc. etc. But all the time, even before I took her on as a student, she'd be like, Miss, I suck. My teacher sucks. Everything sucks. It just sucks. Nothing is happening. I don't know what's going on. Da, 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 da. So I was prepared for the worst because I normally do an initial assessment. I didn't do an initial assessment. Initial assessments are great feedback. Somebody should be doing some kind of diagnostic test, especially for students who are doing languages. It's very, very important in order to assess how what their performance is and what they need to improve. So, our first session, I'm doing the basics. So for Spanish, basic thing is pronunciation. And her pronunciation is pretty good. So for Spanish, I'm normally very focused on getting English speakers to pronounce vowels because we tend to go off on vowels. If my Spanish accent goes off, it's because I am not focusing on how the vowels work, on the system for vowels, right? But her pronunciation was so good that we were actually able to go through a list of vocabulary, my standard basic AR words that I normally give. We were able to read reading comprehension, and she was actually able to do some basic translation to understand the comprehension, right? She was able to grasp it at a basic level, right? So that meant that she does not have a whole lot extra work to do. She has work to do. She's got work to do, but it's not as bad as she thought or as bad as she led me to believe. So I was actually able to let her aunt know, hey, she's got a great foundation and we can definitely get something done. All right. So that kind of feedback really helps. I've used feedback a lot with English students to see where they are at, because when you're doing a foreign language, sorry, I'm saying foreign language, but when you're doing any language, even English, the language skills are the same, and those language skills get tested, not fully. So like for English, the language skills, let me tell the language skills first. The language skills are reading, writing, speaking, and listening. So for the English exam, unfortunately, I'm gonna say unfortunately, I know you guys, especially students, are like, no, miss, thanks, we're good, we don't need an orals. We all need an orals, huh? But for English, for CSEC, you don't have to worry officially about listening and speaking, except for your SBA, right? But the exam is very heavily based on reading and writing, and you need practice in that. You need practice to switch the styles. There's a difference between writing and notice. There's a difference between writing a letter, an email to a best friend versus an email to the principal of your school to let him know that an incident took place, right? So you have all these styles to work with, and you need to know where you're good at. I've had students who are really, really good at writing short stories, so good that I just have to be like, hey, go ahead, just go ahead, and I just correct accordingly. Nearly chewed on my glass of water. And then I've had students who cannot do short stories, but they're probably really good at the argumentative, right? Or they're good at coming up with the ideas for argumentative, and they still need to practice the writing. You see, it's not just I got a grade. It's not just I got a grade, and unfortunately sometimes we can't work with the grade that schools get, because not all schools are like doing past paper. So for example, we are almost at the end of the first term of this academic year. Form 5s should be doing a full past paper, in my opinion. My Form 5s for English, they're going to get a full past paper. They may not be aware of it. I don't know if they're going to watch this. They don't actually watch this. They're going to get a full past paper, and I'm going to mark it exactly, and I'm going to give them a grade. And all of that is feedback, because they need to know where am I now? Where are you now? That's what you need to know. So if it's for something like a Spanish or even French is marked the same as Spanish. I mean, I don't speak French as well as yet, but it's marked the same. It's the same mark scheme. You need to know how good am I at speaking? How good am I at listening? How good am I at vocab? How good am I at all these things? All right. And even for English, you do still need vocab. So getting, even if you're not in lessons, one of the things I suggest is that, or even if you are in lessons, you should be getting that type of feedback. You can't just look at the mark and say, yes, 80 out of 100. What does 80 out of 100 mean? Where did you lose the 20? Did you lose the 20 in comprehension or in expression? In fact, anytime a student comes to me, especially if they're repeating, and they say, Miss, I didn't do so well. I want to write exams January, June, whatever. I say, first thing I ask is, can you share with me your results? And you don't have to give me the grade. All I want is your profile. I don't even ask for the grade. I just ask for the profile. You know why? Because if a student does well in comprehension and poor in expression, I understand why they probably didn't pass. Expression gets the highest grade. That's for English, by the way. Expression gets the higher grade. And secondly, que la palabra, other than expression getting higher grade, it means that they need to work on their writing. But if it is they've gotten low in comprehension, that does not bode well for anything they're going to do for the future. It means they may have issues in deciphering written language, and you want to work on that because it's going to be problematic, especially if you get to university level. Very, very problematic. And the point is, you need to get somebody to tell you what you're doing better at. That's exactly what you need, and you need that as quickly as possible, especially if you're writing in Jan or if you're writing in June.